Pam Bondi's Epstein files. So I made an episode a few days before the release of the Epstein files talking about the different possibilities that Pam Bondi could opt for. There was a criticism on a comment saying, how can you believe that Pam Bondi would do anything that is lawful? Well, I refuse to let go of the notion that we are a nation of laws. And despite the fact that the Attorney General of the United States right now is defying a law and not publishing the Epstein files as they were required to be published by the statute, is a worst case scenario that we are now into. I don't want to, in a normal world, it would be not a matter of predicting what would happen. In a normal world, when the Congress overwhelmingly passes a statute that the president signs, the Attorney General does not have the power to withhold that information. But we know here, in this circumstance, that Pam Bondi is the gatekeeper of what goes in and out of the DOJ. And one of the things that the Republicans and MAGA did with this signing of the statute and Donald Trump with the passing of the law is that they passed the buck to the Attorney General. Now they can say, go after the Attorney General, go after Pam Bondi. We have done our job. We have washed our hands off of what we were supposed to be responsible for. Now it's up to Pam Bondi. So Pam Bondi releases hundreds of documents that are all blacked out that I pointed out before that was one possibility that Pam Bondi would do. And, Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie and several others are coming out and saying that this is not only defying the spirit of the law, but also the letter of the law by not producing all documents with protections for victims only. But what Pam Bondi has done has pretty much redacted everything, most of everything, with the exception of a few pictures and a few names, and how Clinton's name comes up 100 sometimes in the documents released, but Donald's name comes up only twice in the parts that were not redacted. Now, this is going to go on. This is going to make life difficult for the survivors and the people who are asking for the Epstein files release. Now the fight transfers over from it being a MAGA and a Donald problem to it becoming a Pam Bondi problem. But Pam Bondi can say, we are having ongoing investigations. We can't release evidence that's part of ongoing investigations. We want to defend and we want to make sure that the victims are not being, victims' names and information is not being publicized, and we want to protect the victims. But in the name of saying that she is protecting the victims, she's actually protecting the pedophiles and the people who were part of Jeffrey Epstein's sordid pedophile ring. Those are the names that are not out. Those are the connections that are not being made because Pam Bondi has released documents that are unreadable because you can't make sense of one word that is unredacted, a full page that is redacted, and then the last word that is unredacted. You can't really connect the dots that the survivors could have done if the DOJ were really releasing the information by only protecting victims. But that's not what Pam Bondi has done. And Pam Bondi has legal protections. If this goes to court, and it may very well go to court, Pam Bondi can say that a lot of the information that was redacted is part of ongoing criminal investigations that we have opened recently. She can say that. She's in a position to say that I'm not defying the law that has recently been passed, but I am standing with the prosecutorial standards of not publishing evidence that is part of an ongoing investigation because that compromises that particular investigation. And if prosecution were to happen, the chain of evidentiary custody, it would harm that particular ongoing effort. And when that argument is made in front of a court, the court is very unlikely to say that the Attorney General is violating this law. And Pam Bondi won't say that I'm not following the law. Pam Bondi will say, I will release these in time as we go through these investigations. And however long these investigations take, that's up to however long the investigations take. And that's the game that we're playing now. And I want everybody to know that that's the game that is being played. It is a lawless regime. It is a lawless move to do what Pam Bondi has done. But Pam Bondi is in a position right now to make other claims that would hold that violation of the statute away from her. And she would not be liable for violating that statute because she is conducting other current investigations for which that evidence is necessary, and otherwise this investigation would be compromised. That's the line that they're going to take now. And the focus is going to be on Pam Bondi while Donald Trump and MAGA keep doing their little police states and their application of the tariffs, and then lying about cost of living going down, lying about cost of prescription drugs going down, talking about giving dividends to the military, talking about bribing farmers, all of these things. These are all major parts of Donald Trump's agenda that Donald Trump has reneged on. But they're going to spin the wheels on these, and they're going to leave the Epstein thing for Pam Bondi, and Pam Bondi will continue to obstruct as legally she is permitted to do, to the extent she's legally permitted to do. That's where we are. We need to accept that, and we need to accept that we're probably not going to see the Epstein files anytime soon in their entirety. With that said, keep your eyes out. Maybe I'll be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And I hope that they send out the rest of the files. But then again, any hope that I have will be crushed by anybody in the audience that calls me out and saying, how can you think that this regime would do anything that was lawful? You're right. They didn't do what was entirely lawful. But they worked in that little 10% gray area that I was talking about. And that's the gray area that Pam Bondi has, where she has legal cover by saying that I'm conducting investigation based on this evidence that cannot be released. Thank you for listening. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.